Tonight, new evidence in a series of grisly killings across the border from El Paso.
And News 8 has learned U.S. officials were paying an informant who played a critical role in the murders. Channel 8's Byron Harris has exclusive information tonight as News 8 investigates.
In a quiet suburb 8 miles south of Juarez, the sickening stench of decayed human flesh hung in the air. Behind a small house, Mexican federal police unearthed a dozen bodies. Like mummies they were, but each, when examined late in January, bore the marks of a violent death. The assumption was that Mexican police were working with the drug cartel of Vicente Carrillo Fuentes in a series of drug-related killings.
This is very serious. There's an extreme breakdown of the region's law enforcement.
But according to this memo just obtained by News 8 and sources who spoke with us, Mexican police weren't the only ones with knowledge of the killings. The 13-page document comes from the Bureau of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, part of the Office of Homeland Security. It indicates a drug informant working for ICE supervised the killings. He was known as SA 913EP, 913 for short. Sources say U.S. law enforcement agencies paid him at least $80,000 a year. Informant 913 lived in El Paso and commuted to Juarez to infiltrate the cartel. The memo says that at this mall near the border, in this Starbucks, 913 met the first of up to a dozen victims whose killings he would oversee. Sources say his U.S. handlers knew the murder was going to occur. As many as 12 times late last year and early this year, the informant got a call. He was told, "We're having a carne asada." That's a code word for a killing. He was told to come to Juarez and open the house. This is the house he was told to open. The calls came from the high levels of the Carrillo Fuentes cartel. But the memo establishes that 913, instead of being just an informant to the Americans, became a participant in the killings, which continued for 5 months. Before the first murder, he says he went to this hardware store and bought lime to help dissolve the corpse of the first victim. The victim was taken to the house, still alive. 913 helped 2 off-duty Mexican police officers wrap the victim's feet with duct tape. Then, he says, the officers taped the victim's mouth too, choked him with a cord, then put a plastic bag over his head to suffocate him. As he lost consciousness, the police officers hit the victim in the head with a shovel, breaking his neck. His corpse was found, head wrapped in plastic, body coated with lime, by coroners who exhumed the site. News 8 has learned that while all of this was going on, 913 supervisors were listening to it over his cell phone, which was wiretapped. Across the border at their headquarters in El Paso, U.S. agents listened to, taped, and transcribed everything that happened.
We cannot allow an agent of the government to commit a murder. There's no way to justify it.
Phil Jordan worked more than 30 years for the Drug Enforcement Administration. We showed him the memo.
And it appears that he was under the direction of the government, and that's against the law.
Community groups in El Paso, historically concerned about Mexican corruption, now are looking to the U.S.
The fact that the United States was godfathering this thing, right, is really appalling.
DEA agents in Mexico asked for the operation to be shut down after the first murder, but ICE and U.S. prosecutors allowed the murders to continue. Headquartered here in El Paso, ICE says the matter is still under investigation. It has no comment. Byron Harris, Channel 8 News, El Paso.
Informant 913 paid the Mexican police $1,000 each for participating in the murders.